And just like that, you have your next head coach in Ann Arbor. Sherrone Moore is set to be the next head man at Michigan. What does it mean for Michigan? What does it mean for the roster currently in-house in Ann Arbor? We'll talk about it right now. First things first, Michigan fans. A new era has begun. A new era of Wolverine football has begun. We're going to talk a lot about it right here on this show, The Hard Count, on this platform, the On3 YouTube channel. So I would encourage you, subscribe to the channel. I just told you we're talking a lot about your Wolverines. Want y'all a part of it. Want y'all as involved as possible. The best way to be involved is to make sure you subscribe to this channel. So we appreciate y'all so much in advance for that. Let's get right to it, man. If you're Michigan, we had been sounding this drum for a long, long time that Sherrone Moore should be and would be the next head coach at Michigan if Jim Harbaugh were to leave for the NFL. Obviously, the first part of that equation happened, and now the second part of that equation has happened, and we could not be more stoked about it, man. This was the right move if you're Michigan. Not just because in-house here we think highly of Sherrone Moore, think highly of the way that he handled that situation the last 3 games of the season, to go 3-0, to beat Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. That's all true. But I think for Michigan, this was great from a strategy point of view. Because think about what was potentially going to happen if you didn't promote Sherrone Moore internally to be your head coach. There was the possibility now that some of these pieces on your roster could hit the portal, go somewhere else. And obviously this news just broke, so we'll see what happens with the portal with Michigan. But I tell you what, man, I would be wildly surprised if we saw anything that resembled what happened to Alabama or Washington or Arizona, where you had this sort of portal exodus from your guys. Because I'll tell you what, the guys in this locker room in Ann Arbor, from what I can tell from the outside looking in, they love Sherrone Moore. That's their dude. That's their guy, and he just got the head coaching job. So if I'm a player at Michigan, my attitude would be like, all right, let's roll. We know what it is. We know what we're here to do. We know that the standard hasn't changed at all. Yes, the people might have changed with who's gone to the NFL from our roster, and obviously your head coach going to the NFL, but we know what it is here. The same culture and the same process that allowed you to win the national championship this past season, that's still intact because of who's in charge. Okay, so that's crucial. That's obvious. The roster intact, the culture, the process is intact. That's massive. Absolutely massive if you're Michigan. So if you're Michigan, another reason why I think this is a great move by hiring Sherrone Moore is he was ready to be a head coach. And we said it a couple times on this show, but if Sherrone Moore wasn't hired by Michigan, it would have been somebody else, right? He wasn't staying in OC for that much longer. And so for Michigan saying, all right, we love the way that we have built to this point in our culture and we've built this program to a certain point. We don't want to hit the reset button. We want to bring in somebody that's ready to be a head coach, that's beat Ohio State already, which is worth something, I believe, in Ann Arbor. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So what do you expect? I think if you're Michigan, like I just said a second ago, the expectations don't change. And yes, there's some pieces you got to replace from guys that left the league, most notably your quarterback. That's got to get figured out, and we'll, I guess, approach that here as we go on throughout this offseason. But the brand of Michigan, it's unique to anywhere else in the college football world in the sense that there's very few places where you can go 11-1 and have that one loss be to the wrong team and it's a failure of a season. Okay, that's kind of the reality. So the expectation is beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, compete for and win national championships. That's the standard they've had upheld the last couple of seasons, most notably and most completely this last season by checking that last box off, winning the national championship. But there's a lot of key players back. There's no reason for them to have this massive drop-off in expectations on top of the fact that the brand is the brand and that stands for something. So what to expect from a gameplay style of things? I think if you're Sherrone Moore, you're bringing the same brand of football that Jim Harbaugh had this team playing. And what I mean by that is Jim Harbaugh had a line of scrimmage football team that they had built to. That's the same kind of ball they're going to play. They're not going to become all of a sudden this finesse spread offense kind of team or drastically change up their scheme. Obviously, there's some changes that will be subtle, but this will more than likely, I believe, look very similar. The key thing here for success for Sherrone Moore is keeping the pedal to the metal on the things that worked that Jim Harbaugh did, and then also being authentic in the way that you operated for Sherrone Moore. I think that's extremely important for any leader in any capacity. You can't try to be the person that was there before you. And I don't anticipate that being the case for Sherrone Moore. But I think the things that he will do differently, he should lean into those. And I'm not saying you should be different fundamentally with your philosophy when it comes to how you design your offense or design your defense. And I understand all that. But when it comes to your style of recruiting, be Sherrone Moore. When it comes to addressing the team in a meeting room, be Sherrone Moore. When it comes to how you warm up, be Sherrone Moore. Like all these things that are subtle, but I think do matter in terms of how you are authentic, I think that means something. And I think Sherrone Moore will grow into that just fine. I mean, grows maybe even the wrong word. I think he'll transition into that just fine. I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this for Sherrone Moore. I'm excited for this for Michigan. I think this was in every way, shape, or form the right decision for them. And I think this is an exciting time to be a Wolverine fan, because what we just said, man, like the standard doesn't change. The expectation doesn't change. Mason Graham's back. Colston Loveland's back. Will Johnson's back. You got some dudes now to where you can still make a run at this thing for the second year in a row. Yes, there's some key pieces that are gone. Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, he's back in that running back room. This is going to be a fun year. Last thing I'll say, the fact that the path is steeper to a national championship should be noted, because you have more games you have to win in the college football playoff, and just that whole terrain becomes more difficult when it comes to a playoff setting. But I would also say the path to a college football playoff, while it's steeper, it's also wider. Like you don't have to go undefeated and win the Big Ten to compete for a national championship. You can be a 10-win team, get hot at the right time with 2 losses, and though it's not ideal, of course you want to win the Big Ten. You get in the dance, you're hot at the right time, you can still be a national champion. So all that's to say, Sherrone Moore in this new era of Michigan Wolverine football is paralleling with the new era of college football, with the new Big Ten, the new playoff, and all that. But I'm excited to see it, man, because, again, he was ready for this. I'm sure there will be some adaptations he has to undergo with becoming a first-time head coach, but he's ready for this. And for Michigan, I'm sure y'all are ready for this too, with the new era to get rolling. And I think you got your guy. So expect very minimal portal movement, if any. The culture, the process that won you the national title a season ago is still intact. They're hungry for seconds. Make sure you're subscribed here. Talking a lot about your Wolverines in this new era under Sherrone Moore. Want you locked in, so double check you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at JD Pakel. Let me know how you feel about Sherrone Moore being named the next head coach for your Wolverines. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.